Like, I wasn't putting pressure on anything. We not doing that. I'm very much gonna go with the flow, and I'm on whatever you on. I'm not gonna lie, he definitely made it to where no nigga could impress me. I just got to a point where I felt like, what is the point of having all this stuff with nobody to share it with? That wasn't it. You think him flying me out on a first date was something? You think him taking me shopping with me land was something? You thought that was it, huh? No, baby, he ain't stopped there.
We gon' slay, write up a check, we getting paid, cash stay blue, diamonds do too, take no L's, only blunts to the face, car no roof, bitches stay thirsty, I got the juice, I just be posted, giving me views, you giving me looks, I'm giving you moves, true, say true,
I'm just let y'all know how our relationship went on from that Cali situation. I bet you thought that was the last time I heard from him, but no, baby. I know y'all probably thought that was the last time he spoke to me. You feel me? Y'all thought, but you ain't think, bitch. It didn't end there. I'm here to let y'all know it didn't end there. Yeah, after that whole Cali situation, me and him kept in contact. I started to find out that he travels a lot. Like, he really travels a lot. Long story short, he will always hit me up when he came to my city to visit his family. He would always hit me up and make sure that he seen me. He made sure that we went out. I never knew when he was gonna be in town, like never. Like, it was always so random. He's a very random person. As I said before, like, this man travels with no bags. Like, he shops when he lands, okay? Like, he travels with no bags, and he travels very, very often. So I never knew when he was coming to my city. I never knew when he was gonna visit his family or anything. Like, I would just always get a random phone call. What you doing? I'm here. Where you at? Get dressed. You feel me? He will always try to spend time with me, always try to take me out or whatever. So the times he would come and only spend like a day and probably leave that night or that morning, even if he didn't have enough time to spend with me, he would never leave without seeing me. He was still gonna make sure I came outside to see him real quick, drop off money to me, and then he was out. Like, that was his thing. It was nothing I asked for. I never asked him for money. Like, he just always took it upon himself. So like I said before, if he would come to my city and he didn't have time to spend with me, he would just always make sure that he dropped the money off to me, and he would always make sure that I was good, period. He always made sure I was good until he came back, type shit, okay? And I ain't need nothing, you feel me? I'm just trying to let y'all know what kind of guy he was. He's just the type of person, like, if you f him, like, whether you're just a friend or somebody he's dating or your family or whatever, like, he always makes sure everyone around him is good. Like, that was just the type of person he is. Like, that's literally just the type of person he is. Like, he just always made sure I was straight. We was talking on and off for about 3 years or whatever, and the only reason why it was like on and off is because for one, like I said in the beginning of the video, he travels a lot, okay? And it was also very hard to get in contact with him. I couldn't really see myself taking him seriously, you know, like, not always getting in contact with him, not always talking to him, and not always seeing him. It was just too much for me. He was a very busy person, and he was about his business, you feel me? And meanwhile, I do love a nigga that gets to bag. Even though I'm very much into guys that's about their business, about their money, you feel me? I love that. That's definitely a turn on. I'm into all that. I love that. But it was also the distance for me. Like, he was always traveling, like, literally always traveling. So I knew, like, yeah, we each other, but we don't with each other. You feel what I'm saying? Like, we live in 2 different cities. Like, you always traveling. And he was just a very hard person to get in contact with. So that was my issue with him. So that's why it was very much, we was on and off for those 3 years or whatever. It wasn't anything that we put a title on, because one thing about me, like, I'm gonna go with the flow type of person, you feel me? I'm on whatever you on. Like, we don't gotta put a title on nothing. I'm on whatever you on, you feel me? Like, I'm gonna act accordingly always. So for those 3 years, like, I wasn't putting pressure on anything. Like, we not doing that. I'm very much gonna go with the flow, and I'm on whatever you on. But, you know, realistically, in my mind, I already knew, like, I can't wholeheartedly take him seriously. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just a lot. I'm gonna skip everything that happened in between those 3 years, okay? Like I said, we'll be here all day. But anyway, we just gonna skip to the juicy part, okay? So this is the grand finale, y'all. So let me tell y'all. So like I said before, I know y'all probably thought that was it. You know, he just flew me out on a first date. He just took me on a little shopping spree when we land. I know y'all thought that was it, but no, baby, it gets better. So I didn't really go into detail about, you know, the on and off we was doing for the whole 3 years or whatever. But like I said, he always kept in contact with me, and he always made sure that I was good. Even though, like, it was very much hard to keep in contact with him, he always made sure that he checked on me, okay? But anyway, long story short, I came from work one night or whatever, and I was just going through a tough time. I came from work, and I just had a really long day, and then I was just going through so much around this time or whatever, and I just really needed somebody to vent to. One thing about me, like, I do not like talking about my problems. I do not like talking to anybody about anything that I'm going through or none of that, because I just don't like nobody feeling bad for me. And 9 times out of 10, people love throwing shit in your face. So like, I'm just not that type of person to really open up to people and really tell them what I'm going through. But with me and him, it was just different. Like, he was just somebody I can confide in, you feel me? So yeah, long story short, I had a long day. I come in from work or whatever, and I ended up FaceTiming him. And it's about like, it's probably about 2 in the morning. And I FaceTime him, he picks up, and I'm just letting him know like how my day went. And then I also start getting into, you know, what I'm going through and like, you know, what's been bothering me and whatever. Like, we just had a nice long talk. So in the middle of our conversation, like as I'm telling him everything that I'm going through or whatever, he's like, yo, listen, I'm finna just book you a flight right now. Like, basically, he had just got back to North Carolina or whatever. So he was letting me know like he was gonna be there for a couple days, and he was gonna get me a ticket to fly out there. He's like, yo, I'm finna book you a flight, just come to North Carolina for a couple days, clear your head, and you know, like, just do what you gotta do. So I'm like, all right, bet. Like, I need this. Like, I need to leave. Like, at that point, whatever I was going through at that moment, like, I needed to leave. I needed to clear my head. I needed to get away. So that was perfect for me. Like, once he said, I'm finna book you a flight, I'm like, bet. So he ended up booking like 7, 8-ish, because I got to North Carolina like really early in the morning. He got me an early flight. It probably was like around 7, 8 a.m. And I just packed one bag because I didn't plan on staying there for mad long and none of that. Like, I just packed a little bag. I just knew that I was gonna go there for a couple days, clear my head, and you know, come back and you know, deal with everything that I was going through. So he books my flight that same night. In a couple hours I was leaving. He books my flight, get on a flight. I get to North Carolina. And mind you, this was not my first, oh, I forgot to tell y'all, this was not my first time in North Carolina. Like, he would fly me there sometimes, like when he was home. Like, every time he flew back home from like one of his trips, he would always fly me to him as well. And anywhere he was at, he never had a problem flying me to him, especially when he really wanted to see me. That's why I said I was gonna just skip over, you know, everything that happened in between those 3 years, because it's a lot. Like, so this wasn't my first time in North Carolina with him. So this was like, you know, a regular thing. Like, he does this, like he flies me wherever he's at. So anyway, boom, long story short, I get to North Carolina and he picks me up from the airport. The nigga drives me to this big ass house, right? So all the other times I used to come see him when he was in North Carolina, he has never taken me to this house before. So yeah, he pulls up to the house, he goes in the garage, he parks up, all that. We go upstairs. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know whose house this was. Like I said, every time I stayed in North Carolina, I've never seen this house before. So I didn't know where we was at, whose house this was. He parks in the garage, we go upstairs. I didn't know what I was expecting. I guess I was expecting to see a family, maybe some friends. Like, I don't know what I was expecting. We go upstairs and there's nobody there. And the house is big, beautiful, and empty. There's nothing in the house. There was one couch and a TV. That was it. I'm hella confused. Like, whose house is this? I'm like, whose house is this? So he's like, it's yours if you want to stay. And I'm like, huh? What are you talking about? I'm like, no, seriously, whose house is this? Like, he's like, well, I just bought this house and I want you to stay. I want you to live here and I want you to furnish it. I want you to furnish the whole entire place how you want it. He was like, you don't believe me? I literally just bought this house. As he's talking, he then starts to basically give me a tour of the house. He goes upstairs. He goes up to the 3rd floor. And he just shows me that every single room is empty. He was like, every single room is empty. And I want you to furnish it how you want to. And I'm just like, what? He was like, basically, the things I was telling him that I was going through, he just felt like I needed a different scenery, different environment, a fresh start, whatever. Which I definitely agreed with him at the time. I definitely did agree. But I was just so baffled. He's like, listen, I'm gonna buy you a car. And if you could transfer your job to out here, that would be great. And if you can't, he was like, I know somebody that works in a bank. I could get you a job in the bank. And if you don't want to do that, he was like, I'll give you money to start your own business. Bitch, what? First of all, if you want to get married, just say that. That's all I'm saying. Like, if you wanted to get married, you could have just said that, baby. You doing a lot for the kid. You doing a lot for the kid, and your girl is overwhelmed, okay? Your girl is overwhelmed. So long story short, I did end up staying. The time that I went to North Carolina, like I said, I only packed one bag. I had no intentions on staying in North Carolina. I had no intentions on moving to North Carolina. Like, it was just so random. Like, it was so random. I ended up staying. Unfortunately, it just did not go as I thought it would go. It was kind of something that I expected and kind of something that I already knew was gonna happen. Just from what I could already tell, you know, the type of person he was. Like, he's always traveling, he's never home and stuff like that. He was never there, so I was always by myself. Like, I don't have no family in North Carolina. I don't have no friends in North Carolina, you feel me? All my family and my friends are back at home. So I was always in this big ass beautiful house alone, you feel me? So, like, I was so lonely there that I started getting really depressed, and it was just like, I could be depressed at home, you feel me? Like, I could be sad and depressed at home with my family, my friends. Like, here I'm alone, like literally alone. I have nobody. And then his way of like making up for not being there was like giving me money or like buying me gifts and stuff like that. And it was just like, yeah, all that is nice, all that is cool, but I just got to a point where I felt like, what is the point of having all this stuff, having this big beautiful home with nobody to share it with? So basically, that was an ongoing thing. Like, I was always home by myself. Even the days he was in North Carolina, he would leave. He wouldn't come back home till like late at night. He was always working. It was just a lot. I just couldn't stay anymore. Like, I know a lot of girls that would think that I'm stupid for leaving when, you know, I was literally getting everything handed to me. But at the same time, for me, my happiness comes first. I'd rather work my ass off for everything I want rather than it being handed to me and me being depressed. You feel me? Like, I'd rather go hard to do what I gotta do for myself and be happy rather than everything being handed to me and me being sad and depressed and lonely and shit like that. You feel me? So that was just my kind of situation. Like, so basically, long story short, it was around Thanksgiving time. So I was gonna go back home and, you know, be with my family. And then he was flying somewhere else for business, and then he was gonna meet me back in my hometown because he was gonna visit his family as well, and then, you know, fly back to North Carolina together. That was the plan. So he comes and meet up with me or whatever. He comes and he picks me up from my mom's house. He had ended up getting a room or whatever. So we go to the room, we have a great night. So the next morning we get up and he says he's going to the mall with his brother and his cousin or whatever to get something to wear for today. So I'm like, all right, cool. Like I said before, this guy, he travels with no bags. So I'm like, all right, cool. So he's like, make reservations to wherever you want to eat and we're gonna go out. Just make sure you're ready when I come back. Y'all, the same thing that was going on in North Carolina, the same thing I was dealing with in North Carolina was the same thing I was dealing with when we got to my hometown. Like, he literally left me in the room all day. But the thing about it was, he was calling me almost every 2 hours. He was literally FaceTiming me like every 2 to 3 hours, checking on me, making sure that I was dressed, asking me did I make reservations. So that right there pissed me off even more. The fact that we was talking throughout the day and then you still ended up leaving me in the room all day, like, that shit pissed me off. So that right there was like the last straw for me. It was just like, bro, like, I'm already dealing with you not being around when we're back at home in North Carolina, and now you're doing the same shit here. Like, it was just a lot. Like, that was like the last straw for me. So yeah, he ended up leaving me in the hotel all day. We didn't even go to our reservation or nothing. Before he even got back to the hotel, I ended up leaving. I didn't leave until late at night. So I don't even know what time he came back. But it was just a disrespect for me. Like, yes, he was very charming, he was very sweet, he was very nice, but I just couldn't. So once he was doing the same thing that he was doing in North Carolina, I was just over it. I'm like, yeah, I'm not dealing with this. I'm not going back to North Carolina to deal with the same thing. Like, before I left the hotel, like, I texted him a long ass message and I told him, like, I'm not coming back to North Carolina. I'm not coming to get my stuff. Like, throw it out, do what you do. Like, I'm done. Like, I'm not coming back. I know some girls would be like, well, girl, like, you got it so good, like, so fuck him if he's not around. Whatever. Like, I know some girls feel like that, but like I said, my happiness comes first, and I never had a problem working for everything that I have. I always did, and I always will. So if I'm not happy with a guy, nothing can make me stay. Like, I don't care about the materialistic shit. I don't care what you could do for me, because I can do for myself as well. You feel me? I was gonna say that.
I also want to say too, guys, if you guys would like to hear his side of the story as far as like why he flew me out on the first date, or just why he did the things he did, let me know in the comments below. I'm gonna try to get him on camera. If not, I'm gonna try to FaceTime him and record it for you guys.
First of all, we do still talk from time to time, so I did let him know that I was doing this story time, and he told me to make sure that I tell y'all that no nigga after him could impress me, because he done did it all plus more, and that is a Fendi fact, okay? I'm not gonna lie, he definitely made it to where no nigga could impress me. Like, he was the first guy to make me ever experience the things that he did for me, you feel me? Like I said, I left a lot of stuff out because we'll be here all day, but he definitely put his foot on these niggas' necks, you feel me? This is why ever since him, like, there's nothing any nigga could do to impress me. Like, I done experienced it all, seen it all. Like, between him and my ex that I was with for like 4 or 5 years, between those two guys, after them, there's no nigga that I've come across that can impress me. Like, those two guys really made me experience a lot of different shit. They definitely set the tone. They set the bar. Like, this is why a lot of niggas do not impress me. Like, you gotta come harder, baby. But this is why it's also very, very important for my dads out there, any father that's watching it, if you have baby girls, it's very important to make sure your baby girl experiences everything, okay? Very important for my dads out there to make sure they treat their baby girl like the princess that she is. Make sure you let her experience a lot of different things. Make sure you travel with her, so nobody's goofy ass son could come along and try to impress her with anything, you feel me? To my ladies out there who do not have a father figure, I'm gonna say, make sure y'all work y'all ass off to get everything that y'all want, everything that y'all desire, and y'all can experience everything that y'all want for yourself. So no goofy ass nigga could try to come around and try to impress y'all with nothing, you feel me? Because you got your own, period.